need an idea. Something for Halloween, something that people are gonna like. Something like Spookiest Platinums, but not as lame. Damn it.
So what even is a spooky platinum? Well, Google informs me that spooky means sinister or ghostly in a way that causes fear and unease. That's certainly a vibe and one I can get along with all year round, to be honest. I'll only be selecting games for this list that I've already got the platinum for, and that meet some of, if not all, of that spooky meaning criteria. But if a spooky game you've played isn't on this list and is glaringly missing, then it's likely I just haven't played it or haven't quite reached the platinum yet. Please feel free to ask. So, as great as Friday the 13th is, for example, I won't be including it on this list, as the platinum still eludes me. I want to give it a massive honourable mention though, for being uniquely terrifying, capturing the spirit of the movies, and for keeping myself and friends entertained for a really long time. So on to the actual list, starting with Cards of the Dead. If you enjoy horror, card games, and easy platinums, then I think you're really going to get along with this one. Here's Rick Dixon, the main character. That's pretty funny actually. I was the first person in the world to platinum this PS4 version, something I don't usually try and do. In fact, the only other game that I've managed that on is Twisted Metal 2. But it's nice to be able to say it every now and again. This game was just a nice quick playthrough that I couldn't stop playing, so by the time the credits rolled I realised I had a really good chance of being first. There's a heavy element of RNG as you pick what cards to reveal. You're hoping for weapon, antidote and health cards to get you along, and then the exit card to move into the next area. But of course, zombie cards are unveiled and attack you each turn for their attack value. It's got a cool, spooky feeling to it, and some interesting different enemy types that must be dealt with in different ways and in the correct order to minimise your damage. It's not a rare platinum, or a long one. It only took me 8 hours, but it is fun, and I think that's all that matters. I can't believe how gorgeous the Order 1886 still looks. The graphics and atmosphere are what this game is all about. One can only imagine what a full-fledged, fleshed-out campaign would have achieved. I like the characters and especially enjoyed the monsters in this game. They have a real classic monster feel to them. Environments also help the atmosphere with dark London underground tunnels, the oppressive British weather, always overcast and brooding, nighttime with thick fog. It all adds up to make a really spooky feeling game. As disappointing as the overall package was, I feel it scratches that Halloween itch, with the length of the game working in its favour, as it's not a platinum you have to drag out for weeks. You can quite happily play it in a couple of sessions. I got the platinum in less than 10 hours. I also found the special edition steelbook for cheap at a computer exchange here in the UK, so I feel I got a good deal out of it. You can't help but feel sorry for anyone who bought this at full price at launch. The gameplay, whilst good, it's a decent cover shooter, and the visuals by even today's standards are well above average. You just don't get enough of it, which is a shame. If you can pick it up for cheap, I would highly recommend it, especially this time of year.
Stop for a pint, did you?
Telltale games have their place, especially for trophy hunters. They are notoriously easy platinums, but often present high quality choice-based storytelling. Back in the madness, the literal madness that was the 2010s, I platinumed The Walking Dead 3 times. never again can I play that game, like ever. The Wolf Among Us then is no exception, having an extremely relaxed and easy platinum. It is without a doubt though my favourite Telltale game. Such an interesting world and characters tackling mature themes. It always presents interesting choices that often lead to brutal consequences. It's a murder mystery story with spins on classic fairy tales and monsters. It doesn't shy away from gore. It's an easy recommendation at any time of the year, but especially so during Halloween. Bloody Mary is a big highlight, invoking murderous Candyman vibes. He really shines in this game. It's got a great soundtrack to boot, there's not much to dislike, other than the usual Telltale shortcomings like the facial animations in some scenes. God knows what's going on with its sequel. The revived Telltale of recent years got everyone's hopes up by announcing it, but they announced layoffs earlier in the month, and it's left The Wolf Among Us 2 somewhat in stasis.
You're not as bad as everyone says you are.
I hope it pulls through and raises from the dead once more, because I could really do with a good sequel to this excellent game. Fighting games are weird when you think about it, and how different they are to a traditional immersive single-player experience. So how can a fighter be considered spooky without that immersion? Well, a fighting game will never be as immersive as a third person or an FPS, but I think it can still nail that spooky atmosphere through the content, the levels, the arenas and the characters, the costumes, and this is something MKX does really well. I'd argue MKX feels a little bit different to other Mortal Kombats. It's a bit darker and grittier, the fatalities are more gruesome. What really sets it apart though, and the reason it's on this list, are the guest characters. Somehow Ed Boon managed to get the Predator, Alien, Jason Voorhees and Leatherface into the same game. It's an absolute horror icon roster dream, on top of an already impressive MK roster. Their movesets and especially their fatalities perfectly convey their characteristics and mannerisms. It's just really cool to see, and I hope they make a return to the current very good Mortal Kombat 1. It's unlikely, but I can always hope. Also of note are the Halloween costumes in the game, which I love. Look at Reptile, Jesus Christ. The platinum itself is a massive grind, but I'll be talking about this more in another video, as the platinum is also quite rare, so please look forward to that. What a fantastic setup for a Metroidvania. Carrion.
I want to see the lead scientist.
Carrion puts you in the tentacle-ridden shoes of the monster, hell-bent on escape, whilst taking revenge against the scientist that imprisoned you. You're just going on a rampage, room to room, area to area, devouring everything along the way, gaining size and new abilities as you inch closer and closer to escape. It's no secret I adore Alien and The Thing. This game exemplifies them both really well. The animated trailer is one of my favourite launch trailers of recent memory. It's really worth checking out. I'll put the link in the description. It's bloody good fun. The game is a great Metroidvania with good power progression, but it's more the things you can do that don't give you trophies that I enjoy. Just simple things like ripping off a door off its hinges, breaching a room and grabbing several scientists inside. You eat 2 of them while slowly drowning a third. I'm fine, honest. There's no trophy for these things, but it's bloody good gory fun. The unlockable abilities only increase this sandbox of horror power fantasy. The only criticism I have is the areas can be a bit difficult to navigate sometimes. This is because there's no viewable map or overview map button. I often had one up on the computer, but it only really bothered me as I was finishing off the few collectibles in the game. It is awesome though, and absolutely nails that horror feeling. It's a no-brainer to try this out at Halloween. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of my 10 spookiest platinums. I'm currently working on part 2, but I'll release it a little closer to Halloween. Please subscribe if you enjoyed and would like to see more. Otherwise, I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.